So Dan, what do you want to call this show?
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting poked, so poke the gorilla.
Oh yeah, you're the gorilla.
Yeah, I'm the gorilla. Yeah.
What was the gorilla we were hitting on
Oh
today?
man, well,
Appropriate for in front of a school?
yeah, exactly. We're in front of a school, which is what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about education.
Education.
I want to talk about public versus private education and the fact that the public school system, I think we can agree that the public school system isn't the most efficient thing in the world, really doesn't generate and produce a really good product.
Not on average. Again, as I've said it before, certain segments of it are doing great, and there's certain segments that are doing horrible, and the average I think is less than what we want.
Well, let me start with this. I think one of the major or fundamental problems there is with us students in this country is that we don't value education the way some other parts of the world, or specifically Japan. Japanese seem to value education more than the United States student, or the American student. I think that's problem number one, but I think there is a solution. I'll tell you what my solution is, and I'm sure you're not going to like this one. I think we need to privatize education entirely. I think government needs to get out of education entirely. I think we need to leave education to the free market system so that the free market will dictate what schools survive, what schools don't, based on the money that's poured into them by basically the voucher system. I think you need to give people, as a movement towards privatizing schools entirely, what you need to do is the money that a family puts into the school system, because if you look at your property tax bill, it's broken down between the state or city, the city or town government and the school system. Take that school system dollars, your proportion distributed to that school, collected on behalf of that school system, and use it as a voucher to put your kids where you want to put them. And I believe that the private system, the private market, or the free market will determine what schools survive, which don't, based on their performance and their efficiencies.
So you mentioned, other societies that value education differently than ours. Japan. I mean, is it your any idea of yours that Japan has any sort of privatized school system over there?
No, I think what I'm referring to there is the actual attitude that the students have towards education, which, by the way, their attitude is generated by their family.
Right. Family values, which that's a previous episode.
Yes.
But so there's a lot of other countries that are doing significantly better than us on average. Mm-hmm. Do you know where those countries are?
Oh, Norway for one.
Yeah, a lot of the Northern European countries seem to be doing pretty well, and I don't think any of them privatize their school systems. How are they doing such a great job? And
I don't know.
And they're not doing that.
But how are we doing?
Well, we've got this system where we have a public education system that the resources are unevenly distributed amongst. And what we see, and what I think...
How are they unevenly distributed?
They're distributed by
what's collected in the community.
By what's collected in the community, so wealthier communities have more resources, and poorer communities have less resources.
So are you advocating to shift those dollars? Because no matter what we seem to spend, if you look at the cost per student in a city like Providence versus a city like, a town like East Greenwich, the cost per student's a lot higher in Providence.
Well, of course, you have a completely different city setup there, but the point is, on average, when you look at these different makeups.
By the way, that was a good point. Huh?
What?
Yeah.
I don't have a good argument for per capita, because honestly, I don't have all the information around that. That's a statistic that I think has a lot more details that surround it than just the actual cost.
How many students with special needs? I mean, these are also
special needs. Other factors. Like, for instance, a community where there's less resources such as that, you might actually need more dollars per capita, because there could be a circumstance where there's less family support, because those families are more stressed.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that case, well, how do we redirect resources towards that? A voucher system is just going to pull more resources out of that, because anybody with means in that community is now going to redirect their resources elsewhere, making that community, giving that community less benefit per kid.
If you take a kid out of one school and put him in another, that school will wither on the vine, right?
If the school is not.
The school is emptying out.
Yeah.
Okay. But the school where the kids end up is going to flourish.
So what are you going to do about this? Essentially, generation. It could honestly be a full generation of students where a good portion of them just basically are caught in the crossfire of a transition like that.
What do you do with them? First of all, that's why I advocate for a voucher system as a transition towards total privatization. You need to do it gradually. You can't do it all at once, because you're right. You will lose a certain population of these students, and you don't want to do that.
Which could then further segment our society.
It could either further segment the society, or it'll be an initial kick in the teeth that ultimately will smooth out. But my question is, why should we take that kick in the teeth? Why shouldn't we do it on a gradual basis? Again, using the voucher system. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not an educator. The gentleman that I've had this conversation with is much more qualified to make this argument than I am, although he doesn't. Why? Because he is of the ilk that you are. He believes what you do, that the public school system is necessary so that every kid gets educated.
Well, I have to disagree with the voucher system, and ultimately, I'll just make kind of a final point here because we're running long on time.
Okay.
My point is ultimately, I believe in the public education system, not necessarily because of any social initiative, but because we want more kids on average to come out of our education system prepared to be competitive in the world.
I agree.
And I think that privatizing it is going to ultimately cause less, maybe better results, but less number of children. And we're facing a situation where there are other countries in this world that far outnumber us population-wise, and if they're doing a better job educating their kid, they're going to crush us.
Bingo.
So, public education, I think, is the only way to do that.
Well, I disagree, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it another time.
Yeah.